Okay, thank you all so much for joining. Much appreciated. Welcome to our webinar on half-built bridges. I think it's going to be something that you're going to get a lot of value from, and I'm very excited to walk through this with you. Actually, there's a lot of good stuff that we're going to go through today. So let me just share my screen, and we'll get rolling right away. Okay, cool. Usual stuff with Zoom. So you should all have access. You should all be able to see my screen first and foremost, and you should all have the chat box as well. So please feel free to use that. Chris, who's one of my colleagues, is in the chat as well. So feel free to ask any questions. We can come to those a little later on. Chris may share some links and things as well. So keep an eye on the chat box, but please do feel free to post, ask things. I may ignore it, but it's only for now, and I will come back to it at the end, but Chris certainly wants it. He's your go-to guy. So let's jump straight in. Half-built bridges. So quick agenda. We're going to start with a brief introduction for anyone who doesn't know who I am. So who I am and who we are. We're going to talk about half-built bridges, what that means, the impact it has on you and your business. I'm going to explain something that we call the two audiences matrix, as well as an ICE method. And this, I can't even begin to explain just how much this is. I know this is going to help you. If you feel like there's just so much marketing to do and you don't know where to start, this is what's going to really help to shift that needle for you. So let's jump in. Who am I? I'm Brian Plum. I'm the founder of B Digital Marketing UK and B Digital LLC over in the USA. I've got over 13 years experience in marketing to schools. I'm a guest speaker on all things marketing. I'm a digital marketer certified partner. I'm a mentor, and we've helped to generate many millions of pounds for education suppliers over the years we've been in operation. So what that means is you're in safe hands. The things I tell you about aren't just theory and ideas. They're things that we do, we've discovered, we've taken, we've adapted, and we use daily for our clients. They work for us, they're going to work for you. Let's start here. Marketing ain't easy. I know we've got a mixture of people on this call. I know some people can't make it being half term. Hope you're enjoying your half terms and you get to see the recording. For the business owners, marketing ain't easy. I know there's a temptation of like, where's all the leads? Go do the thing. Go just create this compelling content. Everybody loves it. It'd be great. For the marketers, I hear you. It's not easy. It leads to this. This is such a huge problem, not just in the education sector, but right across the globe. The fight between marketing and sales. You get marketing saying, you know, we're bringing these leads in. You get sales with, yeah, but they're no good, that we can't convert them. And the battle continues. So we lead to these quick fixes. We look for ways of generating more leads and what can we do to bring people in, to pass to sales, to reduce that pressure. But when you look at the sort of the environment we're in, we've had BET 2020, 2021 that was cancelled, BET 2022 that was moved, local events that were really, you know, mostly sort of disappeared. We had in-person demos hugely reduced. It's been much harder to track the numbers for any digital campaign. So thanks, Apple, for all of that. If anyone doesn't know about that, I can tell you about it at another point, but let me just tell you, it's harder now to track than it was, let's say, a year or so ago. So it leads to us saying, like, what can I do now to get in leads? And what many companies have done is mass email market. Please don't think this is me, huge criticism on only email marketing today. I'm not, but I'm going to lead with that. Part of the problem is if schools are shut, being shut or very hard to get hold of the teachers anyway, and these events are moving and not happening, and people are, well, how can I get my content in front of these people? We'll buy a big email list, we'll blast it out there. It's leading to teachers getting, 120, 140, 150 plus emails every single day. This is an example. This is a legit, genuine email that was sent out from an education company to a school, totally cold, where it's happy new year, happy discount. It's like, you don't know me, but buy my stuff. And it leads to unsubscribe. It leads to teachers feeling completely overwhelmed by the amount of, that's interesting, by the sheer amount of emails that are coming through to them. Bear with me a sec, guys. There we go. Max, what can I say? Which makes this much more likely. It's a quote from Jay Ashcroft. As a Matt COO, I hated dealing with ed tech companies. In my time at the Multi-Academy Trust, I never read a single cold email, and once the IT department was on the case, the worst offenders went straight into spam folders, never to appear in the inbox again. As I said, it's not just about cold emails, though. This isn't just about, we shouldn't blast out cold emails. I know that it's really easy to fall into the mold of feeling like, how are we going to get these leads? How are we going to bring people in? How are we going to pass them over to sales? How are we going to convert? Or as a business owner, where's all these things coming from? Where's the action going on? So we do lots and lots of things. And there's so much stuff that we can do in terms of generating those leads. Email's just one example. It leads to this. Let me explain this. This here, I think you can see my blue dot. I think people can see my blue dot. I'm not quite sure. This here, imagine this here, this person here is you, okay? You're in this beautiful pink, blue, purple outfit, yellow shoes, looking absolutely fantastic. And over here is the thing that you're looking for. Now, if you're a business owner, this is the reason that you got into creating a business. I've put this down as Mr. Dollar and Mrs. Pound kind of thing, but this is just the pot of gold. It could be money. It could be making money. It could be improving the lives of thousands of kids across the UK. It could be whatever. That's the thing that you're trying to reach and trying to achieve. But right between you is this huge chasm. And the way that we achieve that pot of gold, the way that we can help this pot of gold come over to us and bring, Mr. Dollar, Mrs. Pound over to our way, is by building bridges. It makes logical sense. So in our business world, we think of this as being lead generation, marketing tools, and all the rest. So we start, sorry, I forget it does this on Mac. So we start building a bridge. So using the example I mentioned earlier, we hear about, this idea of maybe we go down building email campaigns. Now, I'm not just talking about, one-off email blasts. We're going to build email campaigns, and we're going to nurture these leads, and we're going to really sort of work with them and help to convert them into customers. So you start building this bridge around generating, email campaigns and pushing emails out there and buying lists and so on. But then actually you hear that maybe Twitter is the way to do it, because everybody's on Twitter, and you've got UK chats in the evenings, and you've got all teachers are hanging out on Twitter, and it's a really cool way to do it. We're not tweeting a great deal, so let's go and do some tweeting, and let's start pushing our content there. So you start building a Twitter bridge. But then actually you get one of my newsletters, and you're like, video is the thing. Actually, we should be producing video content. That's where everything's at right now. So let's step it up a gear, change it around. Let's go get some cameras, and let's start filming some video stuff. And you start producing videos, and you start making another bridge. The problem, though, look how sad our little guys are now. The problem is that what you end up with is a series of half-built bridges. It's a huge amount of expended energy and effort for basically no reward, very, very little reward, because nothing was ever sort of complete. And the big problem here is that there are actually 62 different bridges, different channels that you could take in this sector, because we're boring and we counted these things. There are 62 different types of bridges that you could build in order to get across that chasm. So it's no wonder that as marketers and business owners, we find ourselves just completely overwhelmed by the choice, and we do a little bit of this and then a little bit of that, and we go, I've not done Twitter for a little while, or we've kind of neglected our email list, or we did a couple of videos, but we never completed it. Just to add more confusion into the mix, here is a list from 2016 of the tools and the platforms across, it exists of a variety of areas in business, that a company can use for these bridges. There are like thousands and thousands and thousands of tools and platforms and products that we can utilize in order to build these bridges. So we get completely and utterly overwhelmed. As Chris has said, if this does resonate, like, guess what? We hear this every single time. This is like the most common problem in business that we come across, because in essence, many of us that are marketers, your job is effectively building bridges, but there's so much pressure to build multiple channels and multiple bridges that actually we don't get very far. What we want to really do is identify the most logical bridge that we can build so that our little happy guys can start coming across. And there'll be more little happy guys on the other side again, and we may want to build a second bridge and a third bridge and so on. What we don't want is half-built bridges. And this is, like I say, one of the most common problems that companies have. And what we're going to show you will completely eradicate this. This was a quote that we came across, and I absolutely love it, from Megan Keeney-Anson at HubSpot. So don't push people to where you want to be, meet them where they are. We're going to reference that again later, because this is really going to make a lot of sense. So I want you to just remember this. So don't push people to where you want them to be. Meet them where they're at, okay? This is how we're going to do it. I know it's not as glamorous as my happy and angry looking money people, but this matrix here is our audience matrix, and this is going to be the thing that the tool that we're going to share with you guys. You're going to get the content to go through the stuff. This is the tool that you're going to fill in that's going to make life so much more straightforward for your marketers and as business owners to understand what channels you need to use, when, why, and there's a real big bonus that we put on as well at the end of this that we weren't going to include, but we are now. So the first thing to understand, though, in terms of when we're looking at the channels to utilize, we need to know there are two main audiences, or two audiences that we're going to discuss today that we're going to look at attracting, okay? You've got audience one. Audience one are people who are problem aware and are actively seeking solutions, okay? So anyone remember Yellow Pages even? You know, your boiler's broke, you open the Yellow Pages and, you know, call someone. Like, with these people, something's happened to make them look for a solution, okay? They are more ready to buy from you. There is a much shorter sales cycle, but they are already assessing the competition. So that's audience one. They're wonderful, really. They're like, if you're, you know, biggest, shiniest, most resonating ad in front of them, then you're going to sell to them, because they're like, I'm ready to buy this thing. Something's happened. I need the thing. I'm looking for a fix. You know, we sometimes talk of this as being like the person whose tire has just exploded. Like, they're like, I'm aware that there's a problem with my tire, and now I'm actively going to seek a solution because I have no tire. So that's those people, okay? Or again, anyone's got any questions or any comments or anything, please, like I say, you just feel free just to post anything in the chat and we'll come to it. Audience two, these are, they are problem aware, but they're not yet actively seeking a solution. They are able to be reached, but there's no real impetus to buy just yet. It's a longer sales cycle. You do get first mover advantage because they're not really looking at the competition at this stage. And one of the other cool things about audience two is it's way, way, way bigger, always. It's always significantly larger. Many schools who are aware of certain problems that your products can fix, but they're just not actively looking for the solution right now. So there's two distinctly different audiences. Is everyone with me so far? Just put like a one or a yes or something in the chat, just so I know everyone's currently with me and understands where we're at. Two audiences. One, problem aware, actively seeking a solution. Two, problem aware, not yet seeking the solution. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Okay, there's a lot to cover here, by the way. If you feel like, oh my God, he's rocketing through this, I am. There's a lot to cover. We need to understand the foundations and the reality as to why this is going to work before we delve into that. Okay, so what unifies both of those audiences is a triggering event. So a triggering event is a semi-predictable moment in time that creates a window of opportunity where your prospect is most likely to take action. What on earth is that? Semi-predictable moment in time that creates a window of opportunity where your prospect is most likely to take action. You may be reading this or hearing this thinking, I am lost. You won't be. You are about to understand triggering events and go, I know the triggering events or several triggering events that work for my customers, for my business. Even if you're a brand new company, let me explain. Here's some examples, okay? We've got things like when there is a job change. Now, this can be a downside for companies. For many in the education sector who've had companies, products out there for years and years and years, there'll be times when new head comes in, your product goes. There's no real reason, but new head comes in and they want to change products. And that happens. There's also new head comes in, opportunity to get my product in there. You can see we've listed several. I'm not going to go through them all, but think about how an event, a triggering event may happen, and that may cause a reaction, okay? So fear of offset inspection, a new financial year, a new academic year, government policy change, a failure in safeguarding or a fear of failure in safeguarding, a seasonal event, exam season, curriculum change, budget cuts, new ring fence funding, technology failures. My product's just broken. That's really annoying. Great opportunity for someone else to go, yeah, do you hate that crappy thing about these products? Because ours doesn't do that. Societal trends, black swan events, big cataclysmic changes that happen that couldn't be predicted, but later on down the line, people think, actually, that could have been predicted unfairly so. These are examples of triggering events, okay? There are many, 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 many more, but this is what I want you guys to do. And this is like, we're about to, pens out and start work kind of thing. This is what I want you to create. It's really basic. I like basic systems. I like basic draw on boards and away we go, because I feel like it's very tactile and these things work. You don't need to overcomplicate. We've got an XY chart. Predictability up the side, impact across the bottom. Okay, nice and straightforward. What we're going to want you to do is start thinking, what are the triggering events that occur, whether it's an external event that a person can't control, an internal event, something that they feel and fear and so on, or some sort of wide societal event. I want you to think of what are the events and then plot them on here based on how predictable is that event is going to occur, and what impact does that event have on our bottom line, really. Now, that may be a hard one to measure, but you've got, everything with marketing is a lot about, it feels about right, let's sort of test it. So what impact is it going to have, on people's interest in your product, for instance? Here's an example. So with this made-up company, a new financial year is about as predictable as it becomes, as I say, for Internet Day. Those things, they just happen, okay? But the impact on our business, yeah, we make sales in the new financial year, but it's not that's more like a timing thing. They buy them because money's in there. It's not that's the point people go, oh, I really need to spend with you. Again, this may be different for your business. You may go, actually, new financial year is when we generate lots and lots of leads. Wonderful. Government policy change. I can't predict when it's going to happen, what's going to happen. You can almost just predict that something will happen, but the impact's actually quite low for this business. And we don't really know what the impact is. It could be high, it could be low, but we're going to throw it down there at the bottom. We've got, again, like I say for Internet Day, for this company, for argument's sake, this is some sort of safeguarding software company. Make of that what you will. Say for Internet Day, predictable, yeah. Impact, well, people are kind of interested in our stuff. Job change is harder to predict, though it does happen quite frequently in the education sector. But the impact for us as this company is actually quite high. We can is averaging, but we can leverage lots of elements of this, as you'll see later. Now, what about over here? Well, schools that are dissatisfied with their technology provision. It's hard to predict that. It just usually it's broken, something's gone wrong. But we know that so many companies come to us because they say, we were using X, it just totally failed us, or it's just not good enough. This thing drives us mad. And that's why they buy. But when that happens, they buy. We just can't predict that. Cool, note that down. Can't predict it, really big impact. A fear of an Ofsted inspection, or failure of some safeguarding elements because Ofsted coming around and, oh my, we didn't do this thing right. We can pretty accurately predict that and say that's pretty predictable. We know that a significant number of schools at any given point in the year have and again, I say schools, obviously I'm talking about the people inside the schools, and we know there is a concern and a worry, a fear of what if when Ofsted come, what if Ofsted, I get that call and they come around, that worries me, that panics me. And actually what we know as a business is the fear of an Ofsted inspection is something that has a big impact on us, or people who have an Ofsted inspection, they come to us thereafter as a way of, tackling elements of it. Cool. The final one we've got up here, new academic year. For this company, it's predictable as anything because every year there's new academic year. And actually new academic year, lots and lots of people buy our stuff because they're thinking, in sort of April, May, June, July sort of time. They're going, what can we buy for this new academic year? How can this roll out for the new year for the teaching? Okay. Everyone understanding this so far? It's going to be another yes, because we're going to start delving deep into some somewhat complex areas here. So Cool, thank you. So I want you to, you're going to map this, okay? You're going to map this out and you're going to say, this is the predictability, this is the impact. Then what I want you to do is separate it into quadrants like that. Can you see the gray line, guys? Does someone put like yes or something so I know that there's, you can do, okay, thank you. So what you're going to do is quadrant it out like that. Then you're able to see, like this here is kind of like the holy grail, okay? We've got something that's got a new academic year. Something that's got high predictability and high impact. Obviously, that's like the holy grail. Somewhere down here, yeah, it's certainly less useful for us at this stage. So when you've mapped them out, and the idea is do this as a team. Like this is a real great team exercise. Like bring in customer support, bring in the salespeople, bring in the marketing people, bring in as many people as you can from the company. So like, what are the triggering events that people go, that's part of the reason that we have to buy this. That's why I'm interested in this product. Like bring them together and map them together. Where does it go? Where do we think? What do you think up here, down there? Put it out there, split into quadrants. Now what you're going to do is identify 3, 4, maybe somewhere around there of the triggering events that now are the most logical ones to use. So here's how we've done it. We've gone, well, these here are absolute no-brainers. The new academic year, we're rolling with. The fear of offset inspection, we're rolling with. The safer internet day one, we're going to go with that. Obviously, this is time dependent and all the like of it, but safer internet days, we're going to go with it because safer internet days, let's imagine it was 2 months away or something like that. So we're going to jump on that because we know the impact can be high. And we're also going to roll out this one here, because the technology dissatisfaction, because it gives us big impact. It's a lot harder to predict. It's really good to throw a few other ones into the mix, by the way. Like, these are your safe bets, but let's play a little bit risky and put some other ones in there as well, because they're ones that we can start tweaking, tailoring, and tinkering with, knowing that we're going to have this as our like guaranteed successes. Okay, so that's what we're going to do to generate our triggering events. We're going to take those key triggering events and put them in our first column. Now notice here, let me just explain this, this matrix for a second. What we have done is split this into 2. Audience 1, problem aware, actively seeking. Audience 2, problem aware, not actively seeking. Put the same triggers across all, because the thing that unifies these audiences, a trigger occurs in the world or in the person's head. Some people will act upon it and go, I need to fix this now. Other people will sort of ignore it for the time being. Do note that you will end up with many people from audience 2 shifting into audience 1, okay? So that will naturally happen. So you're going to put your triggers here, say for internet day, a fear of safeguarding failure, a technology dissatisfaction. So we just put 3 down for now, okay? So there's our triggers. I appreciate, guys, I've not spoken about any of the 62 different channels yet. I've just talked about triggers. And there's a reason for that, and you're going to see. Now we have our trigger. What we want to think about is, what offer are we going to put to these individual audiences based on these triggers? So this starts to become really specific. Let me show you. For this audience 1, they are actively seeking a solution. Remember, they are more ready to buy. So around Safer Internet Day, or the topic of, our offer is going to be a consultation and a product demo. I'm going to demo the product to you because I want to sell it to you and give you a quote thereafter. Okay, so very standard, like they're interested, this is what I'm going to do. For the people who have a trigger of the fear of safeguarding failure, an offset, etc., our offer is going to be the safeguarding training program that we have. That's what we sell, and I'm going to promote that to these people, say that is the thing that we sell and that's what's going to be of use to you. For those with dissatisfaction in technology, it's going to be another consultation and product demo. Like, talk to me, let me show you our products, explain the problems with the one you have. I'm going to show you how ours tackles it differently. Okay, you can see the offer is very sales oriented. So when we're saying offer here, we're not necessarily talking about the actual product that you sell. And what is the thing I'm going to say to these people? What's the action I want them to take? What is like that step? So it's buy my safeguarding training program. Jump on a product demo with me. That's what we're talking about here, okay? Now look, the same triggers, the different audience. Audience 2, these are aware of these triggers, but they're not actively seeking a solution right now. So say for Internet Day, there's no point like, let me give you a product demo. I'm like, I don't really care. I'm not actually seeking it. What we're going to do for those guys instead, we're going to give them a lesson plan and some sort of competition around, say for Internet Day. What about for the people who have a trigger of a fear of safeguarding? Safeguarding failure. We're going to do something, and we'll tell you what in a second, something about the safeguarding changes, spelled wrong, safeguarding changes that came about from KCSIE, the Keeping Children Safe in Education document that goes through. There's no point trying to sell these people safeguarding training programs. They're like, I'm not bothered. I'm not interested yet. I know there's a worry about this thing, but I'm certainly not ready to buy from you. And then we have technology dissatisfaction. For these guys, I'm not going to do product demo. I'm going to say, let me show you how our product compares to the people with a product comparison calculator. Same triggers, different offers. Understanding that people are at a different stage in the buying cycle with you guys. So that's why we're splitting these people into two, okay? So now we know what is the thing we're going to promote to these people with this particular trigger and which audience is that for. Now we can start thinking about what is the best channel to get people to take that action. Remember I said earlier, there are 62 different channels, and some of these are like top level, like you could actually go further into and say, yeah, but that one's got an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's many, many different routes to it. There's a top level 62 different channels that you could use to promote. Now, 62 different things. We start getting shiny new object syndrome. That sounds cool. We've not done that before. Oh, we did do that a while ago, but we've not done it for a little bit long. Let's go do it. We're going to start building those half-built bridges again, and that's where the worry comes in. So we stop immediately. And we think, go back to that matrix. Based on the audience type, let's take audience 1 first. Based on that kind of offer, that interest, that trigger that's going on, what do we think are the relevant channels that might be useful to them? Now, a little heads up, next week we are going to do another session and we're going to dive really deep into customer profiling, which will explode all of your understanding of this and where they're at. But for now, what do we think would be the right channels, bunch of them, for the audience 1 who are looking for a fix for those different aspects, okay? And the way that we're going to then identify which ones to actually use, because the whole point of this is like narrow down, there we go, is we're going to use something we call the ICE framework. So a really stupidly simple method for prioritizing marketing channels or in fact entire campaigns. When I show you this framework, you'll go, I could use that for X, Y, Z. You absolutely could, please do. ICE framework, the way we do it, and again, these are the things that we do, so please use. We take a channel or a campaign, and then we're going to measure it on 3 areas. On impact, so, and it's all scored out of 10, by the way. So how likely do we think this is to actually make a difference? Like, what impact do we think this channel is going to have? And again, I appreciate, unless you're like, well, we did YouTube advertising before and this was a success, and I appreciate a lot of this is guesswork. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. What impact do we think this is going to have? What is my confidence in my ability, for me, my team, etc., to actually to achieve this? Like, how confident am I that it's actually going to work, basically, from 1 to 10? And then finally, trying to be as objective as possible. How easy is it to do? There are some channels and some ideas of campaigns that are significantly more complicated to do than others. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do them, but it means you need to recognize that this is a lot more complicated than this. So you score them out of 10. You end up, and you add them together, and you end up with a score out of 30. Basic stuff. I'm terrible at maths, even I can do that, okay? Well, you do this for the channels that you've now identified based on the offer, based on the trigger, based on who that audience person is, and you should only have a handful anyway. So you start to do things like this. You go, well, I think for audience 1, I've got audience 1 up here. For audience 1, who are problem aware around, this is around safeguarding and safeguarding concerns, actively seeking information. I think they're going to go to Google Ads. I think that's definitely one place that they're going to look. There'll be 5, 6, 7 places, but I think they're going to look there for sure. Okay, what's the impact I think that's going to have? I think that's going to be pretty high. Like, there's not many people targeting this in Google Ads. I know that many people are searching for it. I have a feeling that lots of people are going to be searching for this kind of content on Google Ads. I think this is going to have a big impact. Okay, cool. How confident are you in this working? I'm pretty confident. Like, I'm a 7 out of 10, like, confident in this. Like, there's a few things I don't know, and I've got to figure out a few things. I've got to dive deeper into the search terms people are looking for, like what were the actual changes in KCSIE, because maybe people are searching around that. But I think I'm pretty confident in this. It's going to give it a 7. How easy is it to do? Oh, it's a 5. I've done Google Ads, and I've got a Google Ads account, but I'd have to go and like dig through it again, try and figure it out. I need to set it up again. So it's a 5. It's somewhere in between. Okay, cool. 21 out of 30. Thank you. Shift it away and move on to the next. Okay, well, the next idea that someone had was a live talk. Doing a live talk at an event about Ofsted, safeguarding changes, etc. Okay, that's a cool idea. What impact's that going to have? Well, there's probably a 3 or 4, somewhere around that. And again, this is another good, because lots of companies are working remotely and everything at the moment, this is a beautiful opportunity, again, to bring a team together, either physically or digitally, and get everybody's insight. Dave, what do you think this is out of 10? What do you think, James? What do you think, Jane? Let's average it and put, okay, we agree. It's a 3 out of 10, we're going to say. This is a 3 out of 10. I don't think the impact's massive. It relies on the right kind of people at the event. It's an event. I don't know if people are going to show. How confident are you in this working? Can I 6 out of 10? I think I'm relatively confident that this is sort of going to kind of work. And what's the ease? As another 5 out of 10, because I've got to create the talk and I've got to obviously get there physically. It'll take a day out of my time and 2 days to practice and all of the rest of it. Okay, that's a 14 out of 30. Just on those alone, I've got a very clear understanding of the channel that I should be using. Let me just take audience 2 for a second, because these people are actively looking for a solution. What about people who aren't actively looking for a solution? Podcasting. Someone says, let's do podcasting. Podcastings are cool. Everyone's doing podcasts. Everyone's listening to podcasts. This is a great thing. Let's do it. We could do a podcast about safeguarding. You could. That's a wonderful idea. Does none exist? They may do. I don't think so. What do they think the impact is? Ooh, don't know. 5, maybe. Okay. It's worth progressing a little bit more. 5 out of 10. Okay. What's your confidence in this actually being a success? 3. I'm not saying it won't be a successful. I'm saying am I going to bet my house on it? No. It's so new that I don't know. How easy is it for you to do? Well, that's a 2 out of 10. I've got to buy all the stuff. I've got to learn how to do podcasts. I've got to record it. I've then got to get someone to edit it. And then, man, we've got to do it every week. It's a 2 at best, a 2 out of 10. All right, so we're now at 10 out of 30 for podcasting. Doesn't mean we don't do it. It just means recognize right now, that's going to be a significant amount more effort, more energy, much higher risk than, let's look at it. What if we do a webinar? Webinar about KCSIE changes. What's the impact? 8 out of 10. We can get people on there. We've got structured webinars. We know how to do upsells at the end of the webinars. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's relevant right now. We could do it. What's your confidence in it doing it? 8 out of 10. We do them all the time. We do webinars. I know what we're doing. I just got a few things I've got to figure out and tweak and tailor. I'm happy with it. All right. How easy is it? It's a 4. We've got our framework. We've got our templates that we use, but we're going to have to restructure it and put it down there. And I'm going to have to make sure the facts are right. And I'm going to have to link elsewhere. Might be good to get a guest speaker on there actually as well. So it's not just me speaking. So it's probably about a 4 out of 10. Okay, it's 20 out of 30. Just with those 2 there, you can see that one is very, very clearly more useful in this made-up world than the other one right now to actually go down as a channel. So we start to put those down here as well. You can see that we put down here based on the work that we were doing, we're saying, right, so for audience 1 who are problem aware, actively seeking a solution, we've got the trigger of Safer Internet Day. We've got the offer of being some sort of consultation and product demo. And we know we can run things on Google Ads and YouTube ads for this. That makes sense. We assessed 5, 6 different channels. These are the 2 that we brought down. This is what we're going to utilize right now. We know people are going to search on Google around Safer Internet Day and who are actively looking for our stuff because it makes sense in this made up world of what this product is. So we can offer them straight in with landing page around a product demo. We know that we've addressed things like EdTech impact and things on here as well. So people who are dissatisfied with their technology, we can offer a consultation and a product demo. Yes, people are going to search on Google Ads. They may be even looking on EdTech Impacts. They're like, what else is there that exists? So I want to have a really high value listing on there that speaks to people in the right way. What about audience 2? For the second audience, problem aware, not actually seeking a solution yet, say for Internet Day, we're going to run some Facebook ads. We know as a team we can run Facebook ads. We know pretty much what we're doing. We know how to target the people. You know, we qualified it as like a 20 out of 30 or something like that. But we're going to put people to lesson plans and competitions because that's going to make more sense. And you can see as we just go across these, that sort of, you know, labeling them all, this means that you now, when you model this out, you can see there's one big column missing, and that's the big elephant in the room here. So I will come to that in a second. But you can see that if you map out how we do, we've got audience 1 who are looking for a fix. What's the triggers? What's the offers to the triggers? And now we think of, based on that, what's the channel that makes the most sense for these people? With that ICE framework, you've got a complete priority list of this is the one that makes the most sense. These ones are maybe a little more high risk and we're a little less certain of, but we've done the maths and we've worked through the logic and it's all there. And you have a very, very clear model as to what you should be doing, a very clear bridge that you should be building. One of the biggest differences in this model versus the typical model of doing lots of stuff in marketing is that this requires you to think about the audience first and go through what's going to affect them. What are we going to give to them that's going to support them in their need? Where are they going to look for this information? The typical route for marketing, when there's so much pressure on in terms of, you know, bridging the gap between marketing and sales, is do stuff, tweet, email, share, make things happen. And you start with the channel because other people are using the channel because it feels right, without thinking about that audience first. Now, I'm aware that, as I say, there's one big thing missing on here, which is the message column. And now we added this on because we weren't going to go into the message, but for us, I like to, I think for many of you who've been on the webinars for us with us before, hopefully you'd agree that, you know, I like theory's fine, but I like practical stuff that moves the needle. It's like, here's something you can do, and this is like, this will have impact. Here's what we've been doing for the last few years. Go in and do it, and you will have impact. And the thing that was bothering us when we were sort of pulling all of our worksheets and everything together for this webinar was that this is all great, but you really need to have messaging that absolutely resonates with that person to sort of really encourage them to take the action that you want. That's like so important. So we've not gone into that today, but because there's although I've sort of flown through that, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for sticking around and bearing with me as I've gone through a lot of information here. We are going to delve into this next week as a bit of a bonus, frankly, as a week 2 webinar. So let me just show you. Next time, so next week, what we're going to do, we're going to verify the work that's been done on the sheet. So I really would love you guys. And Chris, if people want the sheet, like, do just say to Chris, like, yeah, like, give me the sheet, like, give me the stuff, give me the 62, like, give me the stuff, we'll send it. We're going to verify everything that you've done, and you're going to learn so much more. We're going to deep dive into customer profiles and show you exactly how we do it so that we understand each different type of audience and the people in there for all of our clients. This will show you, we'll actually identify brand new triggers that you don't even know exist right now. That's what I love doing the customer profiling with the company, because you understand things that you go, I didn't even know this was a thing. And it opens the world up to so many new triggers. There's sometimes you just feel like it's just slapping you around the face. Now you've not seen it before. Other times you think, really? And it opens up a brand new world, which is so exciting. We're going to, doing this profile, it's going to allow us to really delve even deeper into those 62 channels where you're going to actually, at the moment, I know I'm saying like, go through the channels based on the matrix and see which ones make logical sense. The work that we're going to do next week is going to dive deeper into that to show you, like, based on this profile, this is the thing that, this is where they are. not just they're on Facebook. This is the group they're in on Facebook, not just that, you know what, they're I don't know, they go to events, but this is the exact event that they're going to and when they're going. So really dive deep into that. And we're going to use another system, and again, I do love my systems, but based on this profile, what I'm going to show you is how major brands, your Zeros, your Starbucks, and like the Nike, the biggest brands in the world, I'm going to show you the systems that they use to create messaging that compels, that allows you to then go, now I can know who my audience is, the trigger that's going to affect them, the offer that's going to work for them based on that trigger, the channels, and I've verified this with the customer profile, and I've actually found new elements to this with the profile that's going to get them there, and the messaging that's going to resonate with them, make them go, holy crap, this is the thing that I've been looking for. Or, audience two, holy crap, this sounds great. This is like the knight in shining armor. I wasn't even looking for you and you've just turned up. That's what we're going to do next week as well. So, I'm actually just going to stop sharing my screen for a second. That's the, let me put you onto this screen so I can see everybody. I can't, useful. Okay, I can't actually move this screen, so that's fine. I'm just going to look over here. So that's the presentation today. That's the webinar today. As I say, I appreciate there's quite a lot that we've gone through there, but I hope that's given you a bit of an understanding as to how to just stop building these things and pushing things out there, because there's lots of stuff that we have to do and keep building these lots of bridges. We've not done Twitter, but actually have a real valid reason for going, stop. We can spend a few hours working on this matrix and it will show us the most logical path to success. I can actually hang around because we did blast through that about a minute quicker than I thought it would be, so that's pretty good. But I can hang around if anyone's got anyone has any questions or anything for the next few minutes or so. It'd be really useful if Chris, if I can just I'm just gonna ask you to talk as well, if you don't mind, Chris, just to jump in. There we go. Hey, Chris, how are you? Okay.
Yeah, very good.
Good, thank you. So, Chris, yeah, is there anything that you think that's wanted to add to that, or anything that people could benefit from, or anything that you wanted to sort of, you know?
Well, I think the key thing is always to think of your audience first. So the problem with the half-built bridges is that there's a temptation to try everything. And I was a client of B Digital's a few years ago before I joined B Digital, so I know exactly what it's like on your side of the fence. And there is a temptation to, please the board, please the exec, well, please everybody by trying to do everything for everybody, and it's impossible. So you end up juggling a lot of different channels, and then you lose focus on the channels that count. But knowing what channels count is the hard part of the bargain. So that's why this method, which is driven by experience, gut instinct, and a sprinkling of stardust, that you can actually formulate a way to think of your audience first. And those two audiences, audience A, audience B, are two absolutely key audiences. You can think of them as your marketing qualified leads and your sales qualified leads. And there is obviously a crossover between those two groups, which is really important to take into account. You're kind of moving people from audience B into audience A, but they're in very different places. In the same way you are, like if your washing machine breaks down, you need someone to come repair your washing machine. You're in group A. But if your washing machine is getting old and tired, you're problem aware. One day this could break down, but you're not necessarily in the mood. You're not in the space to actually buy a brand new washing machine. So that doesn't mean marketers aren't targeting you, and we should be targeting group A and group B, but it's about understanding those messages are different. So working from your audience backwards is incredibly helpful and will stop you essentially looking at all these different opportunities in marketing and trying to do all of them at once, which leads to just weak campaigns and people asking you, where's our return on investment on these different channels, which is impossible to do if you're managing like 20 different things. You need to be managing like 3 different things very well. That will make a big difference to the bottom line.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and you're totally right. I always use the reference of the tire bursting, saying that someone's tire burst, they're actually looking for a new tire, but other people may know that their tire treads quite low, but they're not. But I actually prefer the washing machine thing. I think that's it's a much better example. Thank you. Someone's actually asked a question as well, which I think is a really interesting one, of like how how do I sort of weave the new with the old activities without losing face? So if I'm, basically, if you're recognizing that the stuff that you've been doing is building these sort of half bridges, if you like, and it's just doing lots of stuff rather than, tailored approach stuff, how do we then add this new approach in without sort of losing face and without sort of saying, oh yeah, this stuff didn't work and so on. And I mean, Chris, I'd be interested in your opinion on this in terms of someone who's, led, teams and marketing teams and directly at the end as the client. But I think from my perspective, it kind of doesn't matter. It's kind of like recognizing that, do you know what, leadership team? I feel like a lot of the stuff that we've been doing, whilst it has, there's stuff that's worked, there's stuff that's not, and guess what? That's marketing. That's the point. You do stuff, some of it doesn't work. You go, that doesn't work. Don't do that again. Like the stuff that we've done that's worked, the stuff that we've done that haven't, but it's felt a little bit disjointed. It's felt a little bit like action for action's sake. And what I want to do is this. And present and ask them, say, I want the team's help. I want other people's support and help and so on this matrix where together we're going to identify the triggering events and what's going to, the thing that inspires action. We're going to identify like the different offers that we have, and we're going to identify the channels. And I'd love to do it, together. Or if you feel like that's not right for the for the company, which would be a shame, frankly, but if you feel like it's not right for the company, then my advice would be, I would be designing this and putting it together and then saying, the stuff that we've done has been a little bit, it's haphazard, it's doing stuff for stuff's sake, but that stops now. Like, this is the approach that I want to take. This is the thing that makes sense. This is the model that agencies are using that actually follows a logistical thing. It focuses our attention and the entire team's attention. So if someone comes in going, no, I've not tweeted for a while, or I've not done this, because I don't give a damn, because it's not the thing that's moving the needle, because this is what's going to happen and what's going to work now. The beauty is when you do that quadrant that we mentioned earlier, the ones in the top right, they're like the dream scenario ones. They're the ones that you can kind of bank on. Those combined with the high scoring ICE formula, they're like your almost guaranteed to successes if you execute them well. You can then throw some others in the mix that are a bit more risky, if you like, that may not, because you're allowed to. But for me, I think it's about recognizing that there's maybe an alternative and better and more focused way of doing it. So you're not building these half-built bridges, and you are completely executing on a thing. To be honest, what do you think, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's in our nature as marketers to be distracted. I guarantee everyone on this call has checked their emails or checked their Slack or whatever at some point in this webinar, like myself included. It's just what we do. We are easily distracted people, and it can play out into our work. And that's, there's no getting away from it. There's always opportunities everywhere when you look. But of course, from a teacher's perspective, they're just doing their job. They're not interested in what you have to say until you make them interested in what you have to say. So I think that the ICE formula particularly, and Brian's point about involving the rest of the company if you can, is vital, because you need to brainstorm those different opportunities. There's no law that says you have to have a Pinterest board. There's no law that says you have to have a YouTube channel. No one's going to come around and rap on your door if you're not hosting a podcast. And it's worth noting that when you decide your ICE matrix, you've decided your 2 or 3 ways you're going to approach is persistence. You have to make sure that you apply A/B testing. You have to make sure your messaging is on point, and that's what we're going to talk about next week. And try different ways to work that same channel. Like YouTube as an opportunity is vast, but how do you do it? What do you do? What's the best messaging? How do you record it? Like, sometimes you need to make sure that the effort you put into those channels is persistent, because the half-built bridges problem is that you go in there with the best intentions and then you give up because nobody's liking your posts and nobody's sharing your blogs, and nobody's no one's listening to your podcast, and you think, well, why did we bother? And of course, again, that leads back to poor ROI. So you end up just blasting 10,000 teachers on a cold email list, which is what Brian mentioned at the beginning, which is even more despondent, because you realize that when you do that, you're completely ignoring those 2 audiences and crossing your fingers that it will work. We just want you to stop crossing your fingers and hoping. That's what this process is about.
Thank you, Chris. Now, I think your comment on the persistence and consistency is absolutely vital with a lot of these things. Like, just keep plowing on and keep getting it done, because this is the thing, you've done the background now, or you'll have done the background to go, this is going to work. I just need to keep just deliver this to finish the bridge. A really good friend of mine is a sales director, an international sales director and a sales trainer for companies, mostly SaaS companies in the US. And he launched something probably about 2 years or so ago, I think it was, where he was doing daily videos on LinkedIn. Daily videos on LinkedIn. Some of them would be like a couple of minutes long. Some of them would be like half an hour, 40 minutes long. That's a significant, challenge to take for someone who's also running their own business and the like. And the proof that consistency and persistence is key is that literally for the first 3-4 months or something, the only people liking the posts were like family and friends. That's great, but they're not going to buy from him. And just as he's starting to feel like, just stop this kind of thing, he ended up with an email from someone saying, I watch your videos. I've seen your videos so often. I'm a really big fan of the stuff that you're doing. Let's hook up. And he ended up signing, like, I think it was like a six-figure deal with them to manage a bunch of their sales stuff and everything. And it's become a key part of his business model. And just as it was about to stop, had he stopped in the first few weeks because it wasn't kind of, doing what he wanted it to, it would never have gotten there. But he put he understood that his audience, he knows audience 1 and audience 2. He said they were both on LinkedIn. He knows that. This is mainly an audience 2 builder though, which is why it's a longer term thing. It's like they're on LinkedIn. Now they may not be looking for his services, but he knows that they are aware that their sales function isn't performing how it should be. But they're so busy doing busy stuff that they're not quite looking for it. And he knows that the channel he can do is he can do video because he knows that he can get real high engagement, and he's very good with video. He can get very high engagement. He can push it onto LinkedIn. He can promote it in very different ways. He can get lots of eyeballs on it for very, very low cost. He knew that that made total sense. And his offer would be, I'll give you a free consultation to work out the pitfalls in your sales plans or whatever it may be. He knew that. He's like, I modeled it. That's going to work. So he had the ability to go, I'm going to persist and persist and persist and persist because I know this is going to work. And, he now sees the fruits of the labor from that. So, yes, Chris, you're absolutely right. If people don't subscribe to our incredible newsletter, please, where are you? What are you doing? And go and subscribe to it. Chris put the link in the website. You can go to bedigital.marketing. You can actually just click, there's a button in the menu item somewhere that says sign up to take newsletter. Go sign up to that. Every 2 weeks, we provide loads of really useful free content, advice, strategies, great ads, just inspirational things that you can use and leverage in your company. And it's not all actually educational focused. I've had a lot of it isn't, but it's stuff that you can use the content and the ideas across into your own businesses and like as well. And I hope it's just a good read as well. So do sign up to that. And please come to the next week's webinar. Say the first week here, it's showing you the structures, the basics of how to start getting this done. And I would love you to start mapping these things out, because next week we're going to really dive deep into the customer profiling, showing you what these world's biggest brands are doing, how you can do it too, and how it will prove everything that you've done, or even disprove it so you can tweak it and adjust it. And then you can start launching campaigns successfully, knowing I've done the groundwork. This is the logical model for me. Right, thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If anyone does have any questions, you can post it. I'm going to mute and I'm going to hang for just 2 or 3 minutes before I need to go and do school runs and all the rest of it. So do feel free to post any questions in the channel. Otherwise, thank you all so much for coming, and I look forward to seeing you all next week when we'll get everything over to you and we'll start to hear about the successes from this. Thanks everyone. Thanks guys. Just to comment on Kate, thank you so much for that comment, Kate. When you have a product which sort of tackles multiple, either touches multiple sectors or is geographically, you've got UK, you've got international, or you've got UK, you've got American, you've got, we come across this quite a bit. Simplify one step further, and you can say, right, what's going to work for, UK, audience 1, audience 2. US, audience 1, audience 2, or international, audience 1, audience 2. There will be lots of crossover, okay? There'll be lots of triggers that cross over. The offers will cross over and probably be basically the same. The channels are likely to cross over a lot and be the same, but the messaging is going to be very, very, very different. So it does make sense just to split them out, because we will split them out next week when we're looking at the profiles. We will be saying, we do not have generic head teacher. We have a head teacher from this type of school with this particular trigger, with this problem going on, who is looking for an issue, looking for fixes to their issue. This is where, so it may be worth, Kate, just separating those for a bit, just to get clarity, because it doesn't mean that you're doubling the amount of work. You'll find there's so much crossover, but it just in your head makes you go, I get why this works for these guys. I get why this works for these guys. I get why this doesn't work for those guys. Crucially, I know the messaging that's going to resonate across the board for them and how we split that off. So that's what I would do with that, and that's what we do with it. We treat it separately, and then where it crosses over, it's nice and easy, but start with it separately, and then you can bring it together a little later on. Thank you everyone so much for coming. So I really appreciate it. I say I'm going to hang just for a couple more minutes in case someone's got any questions, and then I will shoot. But thanks everybody, appreciate it.